Welcome to Chuck Force Machine. I would normally do a gun or a shooting type video, but today I'm going to do a different video for you. This is the differences and similarities between the Samsung Galaxy S3, the S4, and the S5. On the S3, as we can look at the physical size of it, it's smaller than the S4 and S5 obviously, but it's rounded on the edges, somewhat harder to hold as far as comfort. It's a good phone. It feels good in the hand, but it's slick. It feels plasticky on the back. Feels like it's going to fall out of my hand. As far as the S4, when they came out with this about another year later, this one actually feels a lot better in my hand simply because it's kind of square on the edges. It is elegant, a little bit nicer. And as far as the style of it, I really like the S4. It's the nice size of it. And then we have the S5. If we look at the S5, this thing is pretty much the Cadillac of all three. Again, with the nice square styling, but a little bit has like a little ridge here on the edges, a little bit easier to hold. Screen size is larger, and the physical weight of it, it's hardly you can hardly tell the difference. As far as the screen clarity, looks like the S3 is a dimmer screen, the S4 is a medium, and then the S5 is the brightest screen of them all. They're all set at the highest settings. Now looking at the S3, S4, and S5, the screen size on the S3 is 4.8 inches, the S4 is 5.0 inches, and the S5 is 5.1 inch. Obviously a larger phone, as you can see in the pictures here. The processors on these, as S3 is a 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon dual core. The S4 is a 1.9 gigahertz Snapdragon 600 processor, and then the S5 is a 2.5 gigahertz Snapdragon 801 quad core. So obviously they have improved the speed of the processors for the S5. Now let's look at function. All three have the home buttons on the bottom. The S3 and S4, basically if you hold the S3 button down, you can go to Google. Same thing with the S4. You can go to Google right here and also see your recent applications you went to. But when you actually hold the button down on the S5, it's taking you to a whole different program, Get Google Now. I'm not going to set that up at this point, but I just want to show you the differences on the home button. Also, the S5 has a fingerprint reader right inside the button. How cool is that? It's for unlocking the phone, and you can also set it up for PayPal accounts and unlocking documents inside your phone. Another function of all three phones is you have your screen that you can slide side to side. On the S3 and S4, you can keep going around in circles. Obviously, it's the same. As far as the S5, you're limited. You only go to one side, and you have to go back. That's the only disadvantage I see as far as the screen functionality. I have not looked into the settings to see if I could change that yet, but apparently when you buy it, that's what you get. Function on the home buttons, we already talked about. But let's look at this little button on the side here. It's usually a settings button. You can get to different things as far as getting to your settings here. Same thing on the S4, but when you get to the S5, when you hit that button, you're going to get your recents that you pulled up, but also there's no settings connection right here, unless you went to settings already and you can see it in your recents. As far as going back to your settings, the only way I can see this in settings right now is go to the applications and then go to your settings button. So that button has changed on the S5, just a heads up. Now let's look at the charging system. The S3, little charger, same thing as the S4. You have your small port for your charger and hooking up to your computer through a USB 2.0. The difference on the S5 is you have a little port here with a button. You pop that little cover off and you have two different charging ports, which it looks like two different charging ports. But fear not, the charging port on the right is the same as on the S3 and S4, but what you have different on this side is your charger actually is a USB 3.0 transfer, separate from the actual charger. So your phone can charge faster as you obviously can transfer documents faster. So the cool thing about the charger on this is it's 2-in-1. You can still use old chargers if you want to. The only disadvantage I see of this is if you're in a car and you're using it for nav and you have it in a cradle or something, and to plug your charger in is a little bit more difficult because you have this little cover here. And then also putting the cover back on, you want to make sure it's nice and tight for the water resistant feature. Another difference that the S5 has to the S3, and the S4 also has it, is on the top up here you have an IR port, or they call it an IR blaster, and that IR blaster there can be used for remote controls. The S3 does not have an IR port. Alright, now let's talk batteries. As with Samsung phones, a nice cool feature about them, they're removable. Great, you can replace them. You can buy new batteries, which actually I think extends the life of the phone. Looking at the Samsung S3, you have a 2100 milliamp battery. The S4 is a 2600 milliamp battery, and in the S5, although it looks slimmer, it's taller. It's a 2800 milliamp battery. As far as the battery life on the S5, with the auto screen functions and the brightness display functions, you can gain a lot more time on your phone. As far as the physical backs on the phones, we just have a basic flimsy plastic back for the S3. The S4 is somewhat similar. It's kind of flimsy and plasticky in a way, although it feels different. And the S5 is pretty much a rubber type feel to this. And also, the nice thing about the S5, as you can see here, this nice little rubber piece right in here makes this S5 water resistant. As far as the specs, you can put this phone under 3 feet of water for 30 minutes. I wouldn't try it at home, but hey, you drop it in a puddle, they're advertising, it's not going to hurt it. Now looking at the back of the phones, as what we see here with the Galaxy S3 is we have the camera, the flash, and also the speaker, which is more closer to your ear, which I've noticed when I'm on calls and I get sometimes a loud indication or a message. It can be a little bit disrupting. As far as the S4, they got the camera, the flash, and then down at the bottom they put the speaker. A little bit better area to actually hear when you're on a phone call. As far as the S5, you have your camera, your flash, and then your speaker here at the bottom. The cool thing about the S5, it also has a heart rate monitor, which you can put your finger over this and monitor your heart rate. I think that's really cool. Now let's talk about the camera. On the S3, it has an 8 megapixel camera, pretty nice camera. The S4 has a 13 megapixel camera, very nice improvement. But the S5, they bumped it all the way up to a 16 megapixel camera, very nice on size. I'm going to show you these pictures while I'm talking about this. Is the camera on the S5 actually has an HDR filter, and you can also do depth of field setting, which is different than the other cameras. As far as the S3 and S4 and S5 pictures, as we look at these pictures, they're pretty good pictures. As far as the quality, the brightness, the clarity of the coloring, all three do very well. As far as the S3, that's a 3.02 megapixel picture. I took all these pictures within 1 minute of each other. The S4 is a 4.78 megapixel picture, and then you have the S5 picture at 6.0 megabytes. As you can tell, with the higher resolution and the camera, you get a much quality picture out of this, a much better phone picture. As far as comparing to an SLR or something, I don't really compare phones to SLR cameras because of the settings you can do, but as far as what they can do, they are amazing. So I hope you like this video. As far as the differences, we've talked about the S3, S4, S5, fingerprint scanner, heart rate monitor, really cool camera. As far as the S5, it pretty much blows these other two away. But as far as functionality, they're all great phones. You can usually find these S3s here on packages for free. I've seen these S4s for $99, and I've seen these here just came out for $199 at your local stores. I'm not going to talk about pricing because all the different carriers have different types of pricing. But if you like this video, like and subscribe to it, and I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good day.